Now it's time for Straight on the Point with Jesse T. from some undisclosed location somewhere in the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Jesse T.
Well, it's good to be back with you. We are in downtown Los Angeles. It's time for the Jesse T Show. We call this Catching the Vibe. We're out here in the streets of LA every Wednesday from 5 to 6, especially as summertime rolls in. You can see how beautiful the skies are here in Southern California. Blue, clear, nice and warm, about 70 degrees here. We are near Union Station. Right behind me, you can see the fantastic and well-known Union Station here in Los Angeles. As I kind of move a little bit and pan around the back here, I'll kind of go back this way here. Union Station has been the set of many, many, many movies over the years, and of course that was where all the trains come in. And I know in your town you have a Union Station too, and this is just a beautiful 1930s style building here in downtown Los Angeles. It's good to be with you. We do a show here on every Wednesday called Catching the Vibe, and the reason why we thought, well, you know, going into the summer of 2018, it would be nice to kind of get out in the streets and get out and about and talk to people about things and kind of take you to some interesting areas in Los Angeles that perhaps you've been to before and maybe not know some information about it, and or you have never been to if you're watching us from other parts of the country and the world, and I know you are. This is Jesse T Show every Monday through Friday right here from 5 to 6, right here on thepowerofvoices.com at www.thepowerofvoices.com, as well as on facebook.com/Jesse Torrero. You're catching the feed. Normally we're on Instagram too, but we can only have so many feeds going when we're doing a live remote. But you can catch the archive show later on after the show here on Instagram Live at Jesse Torrero. And right now you can also tune into our new channel on YouTube. That's Jesse Torrero on YouTube. Just chime that in and look at all the shows. There's about 800 different shows that we have lined up there and archived for your enjoyment, your watching and listening experience. And we're live right there as we broadcast and podcast on KTNT Radio and TV broadcasting on the global radio network of thepowerofvoices.com. Lee's back at the studio with us, making sure everything is right, and we're out here, and I'm searching for the guy who I usually hang out with. I'm searching for the guy who I'm usually messing around with, and he's doing what everybody does. He's messing around here with his cell phone rather than being on the show with me, Jesse T. What's going on, Dan the Man?
We're going to be looking at the statue of Antonio Aguilar, singer, producer. He sold over 150 albums.
So, you know, we're here in Los Angeles, and that's Dan the Dancing Man, and he's my sidekick and partner here on Catching the Vibe. Are you ready?
Lee, it's finger bopping time. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters. Hey now, hey now, hey now, it's finger popping time. It feels so right, like I knew it would. Hey now, hey now, hey now.
I'll tell you, I can't beat that intro right there. That's Dan the Dancing Man right there hanging out with us as we catch the vibe here in Los Angeles. Now, where we are exactly, we're at a place called Olvera Street. And Olvera Street actually is the Pueblo de Los Angeles. It was actually the first downtown area of Los Angeles. It was where LA started, the Pueblo of Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles. And this is where, when Mexico owned California, and prior to that, of course, it was the Spaniards that owned California. And when Mexico broke away from the Spaniards, they, of course, got all the land here in California, Nevada, Arizona, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, and even a little bit up into Utah and Oregon. And then, of course, when America came through in 1843 to 1846, the Treaty of Guadalupe, the then governor, the first governor of California was Pico. He was the first governor of California, and he had his hotel here. He resided down here. He was the first mayor of Los Angeles. Even when it was under Mexican rule, he was the first governor in Mexico here for the California. So everything out here has a Spanish and Mexican and flavor overtone to it. And we are at Olvera Street. And the reason why this is such a prominent area here in Los Angeles is because, one, it is the first place, of course, that LA began. This was where it all started, and what we've transformed into is a great traffic jam. But this was where it all started. And the reason why they picked this particular spot is because there was a natural spring that bubbled up from the ground here, artesian wells all over California, some of the best water that you could drink. Of course, it's all tapped into the water system here now in the Department of Water and Power in the city of Los Angeles. But there was a natural spring here, and you had to have water to survive because this is all an arid desert climate, even though we are on the ocean side of the mountains, and we do get that nice brisk air, that marine layer that comes in here, though this is still a ocean climate in the air, but it's still very dry and very desert. In fact, all the greenery that you see in LA today, if you do a Google satellite map, all the greenery was planted by somebody, and if not for water, LA would just be like the Mojave Desert or Death Valley. So that's why we are here, because we're going to celebrate Olvera Street, Jesse T style. So as we move on here, going to show you a couple of things, like Dan the Man said. This is the Antonio Aguilar statue. And Antonio Aguilar was a well-known recording artist, and in fact, this is a statue that was made possible by the University of Guadalajara. Money came from the University of Guadalajara, and you can see the bronze statue in the background, and Antonio Aguilar. Dan the Man, come over and tell us a little bit about what you were saying. You can come in front or behind, it doesn't matter. Tell us a little bit about Antonio Aguilar.
He was a famous Mexican singer. Mm-hmm. He sold over 150 albums, and I believe like 25 million records.
Right?
Yes.
So he was a guy who really made his mark.
Equestrian.
It used to have a nice fountain and waterfall coming through here, but the reason why we don't have any water in there now, because we do have a terrible homeless problem here in the city of Los Angeles. So 65,000 homeless people, and just down the street and around the corner, the overpasses of the freeway is filled full of homeless tents. And so the reason why there is no water here is because the homeless come here at night and they'll drink it and take a bath and do all those things that they do in the water fountains. That's why a lot of the water down here in downtown LA is turned off for public use. They don't want the homeless to go in there and defecate and use it as a toilet and a bathroom and all that stuff. But Antonio Aguilar, I remember when they put this statue in, it was really a big celebration down here and a big party. It was a lot of fun. This guy was very well known, and you can Google search him right now and get some of his music and listen to him.
Now it's just a bird bath.
Yeah, really. There's no water in it, but it's an awful good-looking statue. Beautiful statue here. So we're going to kind of wrap around and head down into Olvera Street as the Jesse T show continues on. Hello. Hi, how are you? What's your names? I'm on the air right now. We got about 1 million people watching us on Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, Livestream, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. What's your name?
My name is Irene.
Hi, Irene. Are you visiting or do you live in Los Angeles?
We live in the Inland Empire.
Oh, so you're about 75 miles this side.
More like 32.
You're waiting for the traffic to calm down before you go home?
No. We just get the Union Station, Amtrak. It's not much. The Metrolink.
And what's your name, sir?
I'm Victor.
Hey, Victor. So do you guys come down to Olvera Street a lot?
Not as often as we like to. Maybe every other month.
Yeah, it's nice when it's not so crowded. On the weekend down here, it's so packed.
Yeah.
All the tourists and stuff. During the
weekday, it's a lot better. It's a lot nicer.
Relax and not be bumping into everybody as you walk down the main plaza. It's a lot more pleasant.
They have this.
Yeah. Yes.
And they're waiting for the tremors to stop at 3.4 earthquake in Moreno Valley today.
Oh, yeah. You guys had an earthquake out there in Moreno Valley. That's not too far from you guys.
Oh, I never noticed that. We love it here in California. We're always rocking and rolling.
Hey, that's the way it is. So we're going to hop on the train and take it on home pretty soon.
That's right.
How's the train ride out there? I haven't taken that train ride for about 15 years.
It's beautiful. It's just wonderful, clean ride, nice people. I recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, it's safe. You feel comfortable on the train?
Oh, of course. Yes.
Yeah, that's good because they did have a little bit of an element there a few years ago, but I think they've cleaned it up.
I've never heard of that. I've always loved taking the Metrolink. I feel safe each and every time I take it. I recommend it to each and every one of my friends and family.
Well, thanks a lot. You guys enjoy yourself. Have a good time, and have a safe trip home.
You as well. Thank
and
you.
Listen to KGGI out there.
All the time.
I worked there at KGGI, KFXM, KMEN, KCAL, KCKC, all through the years.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love KGGI.
You've been out there a long time?
You know, I am 56 years old. I've lived here in either Ontario, California, or in Pomona, and I'm a native, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
So you grew up listening to KMEN.
Yes, I have.
And 59 KFXM.
Yes, I have.
And I'm Jesse Torrero.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, Jesse T.
I'm so happy to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I worked at KGGI for about 2 years when it was continuous music. KGGI. Remember that?
Yes, I do. I do.
And the 59 KFXM from the Holiday Inn where the freeways meet.
That's wonderful. Oh, my God. This is one of the best days of my life.
Oh, gee whiz. I'll give you the $25 I promised you, okay?
Thank you.
See, I got to bribe people. That's what I do. That's how I get some recognition. The problem is I've been trying to bribe my wife for 29 years, and it's not working yet.
It's not enough money.
It takes a woman to tell me that. I'm finally learning that at 57 myself.
You know, everybody has their price. You're just not hitting that price yet.
I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm going to go. Nice to see you guys. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.
I got slapped once because I told some girl she measured 8.6 on my Richter scale.
Damn the man. I love you, man. There was an earthquake out there, huh?
Yes.
That was fun. You see how fun it is to come out here and walk with the folks and talk to them? And they actually remember me down there at KGGI. Look at this. We got TV stations out here. We got film stuff happening.
Master.
We got the Bassmaster as we walk and talk here in Olvera Street in downtown Los Angeles. Now, Olvera Street is sort of the entrance to downtown LA.
Yes.
And I love reading these historical plaques, like right here. The Indians of Southern California, the plaque and the garden are dedicated to the memory of the first people who lived in what is now the country or the county of Los Angeles. The Indians had dishes of soapstone and sterilite and simple tools such as scraping stones and fish hooks, and they made beautiful baskets. Their houses were of circular shape with willow stick frames covered with grasses and rushes. The men wore not a bunch of clothing, very, very limited clothing. In many cases, they wore no clothing because Southern California here, the temperature is always real good, while the women wore skirts or buckskin or some sorts of fiber, and the weather is so terrific here. More than 5,000 Indians lived in this semi-arid plain right here in villages from one side of Olvera Street to the other. This has been populated for many years, and when the first explorers came here in 1769, they were welcomed, and they were, of course, the Spaniards, and there's a whole history there. We'll get into that on Road Trip and in another episode. But the missions, of course, were landed here. This was a center point here, or a halfway point between the San Gabriel mission and the San Fernando mission. So there were a lot of things going on here way before the Spaniards first came here. And Telemundo, Channel 52 is right there. They're doing their thing here, and they're setting up their stuff. They're going to be broadcasting something live. There's always something going on in Olvera Street.
I'm in shape. Round is a shape.
Do you think you would be... Let me see. Let me ask you, Dan the man. If you were one of the indigenous people that grew up here, and you were a man, you would have to wear no clothes. Uh-oh.
I'd be known as Running Bear.
Running Bear. Oh, Lord help me. I love you, Dan the man. You're the best. This is the only guy in town that can slap me upside the head and make me think twice. It's like the joke that never ends, like the story that never ends. Hey, this building, it's called the Biscaluz building. It was built in 1925, and the building located on this site of the Juan Sepulveda adobe was designed as a United Methodist Church conference headquarters, and the Plaza Community Center today serves as a consul general of Mexico. And that's why you have Telemundo here, because this is where the Consul General is now here in Olvera Street. And a lot of these buildings here were the original buildings that went up in Los Angeles, and many of them have had to be reinforced over the years because of earthquake standards, especially these adobe buildings, because they tend to rock pretty hard during any kind of earthquake. The adobe kind of crushes itself under its own weight. But this is one of the main churches here, and I'm gonna walk over here so you can get kind of a view of this, and we're going to go check out one of these most beautiful trees that are here in the plaza. Every area where Mexico had a city or a town or a pueblo, there's always a center grouping area, a plaza. And hopefully you can see the architecture of this church behind us here. And then you can see how beautiful that looks, with the arches and up on top with the beautiful stained glass. Just absolutely gorgeous. Just an absolutely beautiful example of early California. Dan the Man, what a tree. Look at this. Go stand by that tree. Let's see how big that tree is compared to yours.
It was a tall oak tree. Johnny Burnett.
Johnny Burnett. All right, we got this tree we're going to look at. My goodness, look at the size of this tree. Wait a minute. We got Running Bear running over to the tree. That's a big tree. That's a big tree. I mean, this is like a perfect tree house.
Kimasabi.
That's right. I like that. So you can see each area here down in when you come to a lot of towns like this here in Los Angeles, especially the towns that have been here since the 18th century, you'll see that they all have a plaza area here, and this plaza area right here, where the band and where people can speak, and mostly though on Saturdays and Sundays, on the rest days, you'll see bands out here, mariachi bands, and this whole area fills up with tourist people now, and it's very attracting to a lot of tourist people during the weekend. It's really nice that there's really not too many people here today. I thought it was going to be crowded, but it isn't on the weekdays.
No, because work crowds left.
Yeah, that's absolutely. So let's kind of go into where the main part of Olvera Street is. And the reason why they call it Olvera Street is because there actually was a street down the middle. And we're going to walk through that right now. They have it all blocked off, but it was a street where they had hotels, and they had the governor's house was here at one time. And all kinds of very, very historical buildings. Right now, there's a lot of little haberdasheries and little places that people buy trinkets, and they come and take pictures and stuff like that. I'll see if I can turn. I don't think I can turn the camera around while we're on here. Let me see if I can do that. No, I can't. So we're just going to have to walk backwards here as we enter Olvera Street. 1781. Is when El Pueblo de la Reina de Los Angeles fue de Nieve. September 4th, 1781 is when this was all found by the Spaniards. And you kind of get an idea. When you do come to Los Angeles, you got to check out all of these old buildings and go through the historical perspective, as well as all of the fun things to do here in terms of eating. And there's some great buildings like this building here, El Pueblo de Los Angeles. The first Olvera Street cross was carved by Mrs. Florence Walker in 1929 to honor the city's 148th birthday. Over time, weather and the erosion requires a newly commissioned artwork, and they're commissioning that right now. But this building was where her family, the Walker family, who was here for many, many years, had inherited and passed this property down in that respect. And they got it, the property was originally built in 1866, that is, by John Jones, the Simpson and Jones family, who the Walkers purchased from. In 1870, John Jones bought the land formerly owned by Cristobal Aguilar. And Aguilar was a very prominent name, and that's why they put the statue of the singer Aguilar out front. The mayor of Los Angeles at the time, John G. Downey, governor of California in 1860, because California became part of the United States in 1846. A couple years after the Treaty of 1843. And this was an adobe house that was torn down, and this house was then built over the top of it. And this family stayed in here until 1908. Then the Walker family bought it from them. So the building is still owned by that family trust. So it's been in a couple of families' names here for many, many decades. So as we kind of move down into the middle of the area where a lot of things that you can buy, you can look at, we're going to talk to some people, and you have a lot of different areas that you can go in. All these folks in here selling different things, and it all has that Latin flavor to it, the Mexican flavor to it, and it's kind of cool down here. This hasn't changed for many, many years. When I was a little boy, we used to come down here. It was a lot of fun. A lot of them are locked up right now because they come down here and they work on the weekends when all the tourists are coming through Torrero Street in these little shops. These are really nice, actually. When I was a little kid growing up here, these were more like just people out here with a table or two just doing what they do in that respect. But now they have these little buildings here which are leasable to the folks.
Look over here. There's Zapatos Are Us.
Ah,
Zapatos Are Us over here.
So we got lots of shoes here. If you want to buy some shoes, I don't think there's any shoes there for you down the mat. Those shoes are all too small for you. Lots of shoes for sale down here, and lots of things to look at. Hi, how are you? You got lots of shoes for sale.
Yep.
Are you here all the time? Yes. Yeah. And you've been here for a long time, a lot of years? Is this like a family inherited business, or did you start it? You started it? My name is Jesse, and we're on digital TV right now, broadcasting to the world. So we wanted to come down to Torrero Street when it wasn't so crowded.
Okay.
Not good for you though.
No.
No.
11 hours here is time.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Money.
Oh, well, look at I got some real estate for sale. You want to buy some? So now on the weekends, it's really crowded down here, though.
Yeah, the everything people here is.
You probably sell very busy. I've seen it where you can't even walk.
Maybe no food, no go in the bathroom, but it's okay.
Well, that's how you take a diet. You get a place down here and never eat because you're so busy. So tell me about your shoes. Do you buy these shoes from somebody that makes them by hand, or are they more commercial type shoes?
From Mexico.
They buy them from Mexico.
Uh-huh.
All right, great. So you import them then? Yeah. It smells good in here, the leather.
The leather. It's not good for me. For you, yes?
Yeah, it smells great. I love leather. And leather and new carpet. Smells great.
Uh-huh.
And good food.
And good food, yeah.
And some tequila.
Yes, tequila for Mexico, huh?
Absolutely. Well, you have a good time and enjoy yourself, and I hope you make a lot of money.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot.
A lot of money.
Yes.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
I bet you do. You Robert Duvall man. So kind of kicking it around here, walking through beautiful Torrero Street, and when it's not so crowded down here, you can kind of get a feel of what it may have been like, years and years and years ago. They start closing up about this time of the day every day because there's not much business that's down here after 5 or 6 o'clock, and people start closing up their shops and going home and taking care of those things. But they're usually down here early in the morning. And the tourists are usually here earlier. There's a couple of really great places to eat down here, too, as well. And we'll look at some of these buildings here. There's one building across the way here, which is two of the most famous buildings here in Torrero Street. And I kind of want to go over those and give you some idea of some history here. This building here is really a living museum. It is the oldest existing house in Los Angeles. It was built about 1818 by Don Francisco Avila. It was occupied briefly as an American headquarters in 1847, and that was about a year after California became part of the United States of America. It was damaged in '71 earthquake. I was here for that earthquake. It was a pretty bad earthquake. It's been restored, and it's a great example of California lifestyle of the 1840s. El Adobe Villa in La Casa Masas Vieja in Los Angeles. And it is really terrific. You can kind of see how the doors are and the door handles. It's pretty amazing when you look at the door handles up there, the little slots, you can kind of see that. And that's where they open these beautiful doors. This is all original stuff here, and all adobe and built by hand. It's, as I said, it's one of the oldest houses in Los Angeles. It's been here since 1818. This was a wealthy person's house. You had to have some money. Look at that beautiful red, gorgeous tree. The name of this tree, I can't remember what they call this, except
They're not bougainvilleas. Huh?
No, they bougainvilleas have a lot of.
Oh, maybe it says here.
Now, bougainvilleas have a lot of spikes, a lot of thorns in them, but this is a beautiful red flowers. And we see a lot of this kind of foliage throughout California because the climate is perfect, especially when you come on this side of the mountains, away from the San Fernando and San Gabriel Valley. You can feel the nice breeze starting to come in here. It's that ocean air that comes into here. See, this was the headquarters of the Commandant Robert Field Stockton, United States Navy, January 1847. And you say, well, why the Navy's headquarters right here in 1847? Because we're actually up high. The LA Basin is like a big giant fishbowl up behind us. It tears down, and from this vantage point, we're up a little bit higher. You can see the harbor down near Santa Monica, and you can see the harbor of Los Angeles and Long Beach on a clear day. So you can see the ships that were actually sailing and get some forewarning that our enemies were coming.
And it's been rumored that Zorro used to patrol this area back in the day.
El Zorro. See, was Zorro a myth, or was he not? Was he true? It's a fable that's been told by many, many generations of Mexicans, not just in the movies, but it's been told by many generations. And this is an interesting feature here. This is a pepper tree, and these pepper trees are just massive, and they grow really old. They're great trees to climb when you're a kid because you can sit up on the stoop up there, but this is so heavy and so old that they don't want it to break, so they're supporting it with a beam here, just like they would support any house. And you can see the bells here, the original bells, when they would give notifications of lunchtime, dinner, breakfast, or emergencies, or everybody come to the commandant's headquarters or the original person's house. And this is what they would ring here, and it's all been supported. These are all the original timbers that they had here at Elvira Street. So we're kind of crisscrossing here, and people are starting to go home already and starting to pack up stuff. Let's see if we can talk to a few more folks. One of the terrific restaurants right here, El Paso. Hey, how you doing, man? What's your name?
My name is Richie. I'm from South America, Chile.
Yeah?
Yes.
Chile?
Yes.
Oh, my Mama T is from Chile, my wife.
Really?
She was born in Santiago, Chile. She came to America when she was 11 years old.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm from that city.
Yeah.
And I'm buying some local shirts.
Yeah, absolutely.
El músico.
Yeah? Are you a musician?
Yes, I am.
Look at that. Look
So
at you.
I need my... I have the,
You
I
play
got the whole
guitar?
package.
Yeah. Right. So what do? I mean, are you in a band? Are you a soloist? Or?
I came to play at the Viva Las Vegas Rockabilly Weekender.
Get out of here. Rockabilly?
Yes, Richie and the Richmond.
Oh, all right, man.
And I came with my friend Joni.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
We are from Chile. We are from the Gallo de Oro barber shop.
Yeah?
I am the owner, and this man,
Come on close over here.
too is the a barber in Chile.
I was telling your friend here that my wife, Mama T, was born in Chile.
Wow.
And she came to America in 1971.
Okay.
And because, we're all I'm like 93 years old. You just don't realize it. Yeah. So I look good, baby. That's right. But she's Chileno. And Her whole family then has moved here ever since. They came here when Pinochet was still in charge. Yeah.
A lot of people went out of the country
At that time.
when that happens.
Yeah. From what I understand,
for us.
yeah, from what I understand, though, it's really changed because some of the family members have gone back and visited some of their family that are still alive. It's changed in Chile, hasn't it?
A little bit, but not. I mean, there's still some kind of roughness because I mean, a lot of people get hurt. And they don't feel comfortable about it. They feel that justice was not made. So I think that it's not something that you can just forget about it.
Right.
Most people got his families killed, and
that was a very bad time. All the historical significance that particular leader did. He did a lot of injustice to people. But the country's a beautiful country.
Yes.
That's absolutely gorgeous.
Undoubtedly.
You've got the skiing on one side, the ocean on the other.
Yes.
I mean, it's like California, isn't it?
Yeah, in a way, yes.
A little greener.
It also reminds me of, Valparaiso reminds me of San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. About the same climate, because it's cold in Chile.
Yes, but you have both kind of weather. I mean, sometimes you had like this California weather, but sometimes you find very rainy weather too.
My Mama T, I call her. Her father was of a German descent, and his family came over from Germany originally. Part of his family, but of course he married. That family married somebody that lived in Chile at the time. But that's their background: German and Chileano.
Yeah. But lots of German people went to Chile, to the south of Chile, and they formed colonies over there. Mm-hmm. So,
rockabilly coming out of Chile, Santiago. That's like crazy, man.
Yeah, but it's
Elvis Presley, baby. Yeah. Oh, how cool is that?
This guy you have the Elvis glasses.
Yeah, he's got the Elvis glasses.
Thank you very much. I'm a U.S. male, and I like my women female.
So you got to perform in Vegas. How fun was that?
It was a lot of fun. We stayed there about a week. Then we came to California, but it was lots of fun.
Was Vegas everything you guys thought it would be?
Yes, and lots more.
You mean what stays in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? He's going, that's right. Absolutely. Well, that's a beautiful city. That city never closes down. It's open 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
I just want to know, did you guys win some money?
Even you will find people that almost lives on the casinos.
Yeah.
They just stay there.
Was that you? Playing blackjack and craps? Come on now. Come on.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. All right. I like that. Absolutely. So where are you guys off to now? Are you going to go back home, or you got another stop here, another show coming up?
I think my band already left, so I'm here. I'm just traveling around. I'm going to Arizona, then I'm going to Colorado, Texas, Louisiana, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia.
Oh my goodness.
Miami, and then I go back.
You're doing like the whole Estados Unidos, man. You're doing the whole tour here.
Yes.
Are you going with them?
No, I'm going. I will go to Mexico tomorrow, and the Sunday I'm going back to Chile.
Oh, okay. Say something to our fans in Spanish.
Okay. ¿Para qué canal estamos transmitiendo? Salsa Hora de México. No, bueno, un saludo afectuoso de Richie, de Johnny, acá de la barbería Gallo de Oro, y de Richie and the Richmond. Y bueno, pásenlo bien, disfruten y que sigan acá divirtiéndose. Está muy entretenido aquí todo.
Absolutely, man. How can they find you on the internet? Do you got a Facebook, Instagram, website, what?
Yes, we have a...
look, I'm selling some records for you right now. So how do they find
we already sell them. So, but you can find us on YouTube. It's Richie and the Richmond, or on Facebook. It's also Richie and the Richmond. You have your fan page there.
Excellent. Well, you know, we have an audience of 1.5 million. We have 15 million Google Net impressions, and we're on the air every day of the week, 5 to 6 here in Los Angeles. And this is one of the days in the middle of the week we go out and we kind of catch the vibe of the street of LA and see what's going on. That's Dan the Man right there. This is what's going on. A couple of great artists from Chile, and they're kinfolk somewhere to my wife. I don't know where, but because they're all related down there. They're all second cousins and 47th cousins of the second cousins, uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters, mothers, friends, dog, uncles, grandpas, sisters, brothers, great-grandpas, somewhere. And that's where the oceans meet, the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean down there in Chile, Santiago, Chile. Good place to go. Bye-bye. Check it out. Bye-bye, guys. Hey, enjoy yourself. Have a fun stay in America and enjoy it. And look us up.
Enjoy yourself and have some chili rellenos.
Okay. That's not Chile. That's come from Mexico.
But it's just
you know why they call them Chile? Because they're chili beans.
Well, it's getting kind of cold. It's kind of chilly.
No way.
No, all right, guys. Have a good one, man. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Take care. And visit us in Chile.
All right. We love you, man.
Hasta la vista.
All right.
Vista, baby.
All right. You never know what you're going to find on Alvera Street. Here in Los Angeles, this is Jesse T. That was fun, Dan the Man.
Yes, it was.
From Chile.
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute now. Okay. We need to get some food. What do you think, Dan the Man? You think we need to get some food? Look at that menu. Doesn't it look good?
Oh, yes.
Smell.
I'll take 2 of each.
I'd love to have a Cadillac margarita. Did you enjoy the meal?
Yes, we did. Very much, actually.
Good cooking here.
It was good cooking and good friends.
Nothing better in life.
Exactly.
You know, it takes you to be after 50 years old to finally realize that good food and good friends is really what it's all about.
I haven't reached that age yet.
Yeah, but you're only 29. You're only 29, right? Take care. Bye-bye. All right. Okay. AVTV Live here. That's the old insignia. Of course, we've changed our brand to KTNT Radio and TV, and we pretty much promote that. But I had the old backup microphone happening here that I needed to bring out today for this special event. In that respect, as we kind of roll down here through Alvera Street, it's kind of getting kind of quiet now. Usually the restaurants are usually open. That was fun. That guy from Chile, he's a rockabilly band from Chile. Wow. I mean, can you imagine a rockabilly? Now, remember I talked to you earlier about a natural spring? Well, right here. Pure water from many sources. Water to the north to city of Los Angeles now comes hundreds of miles by 2 great aqueducts. Of course, we know that from the Orange Valley. That's what one of the road tripping shows was about, Mulholland and the San Francisco Dam explosion. But this was one of the original sources of water right here in Los Angeles. And this was this water here, source of the old Zanja Madre, mother's dish that followed nearby. This fountain can serve you pure water from any of these sources. Yeah, and so it's pretty amazing. Through this spot flowed the Zanja Madre, which channeled the waters of the Los Angeles River to the citizens of Los Angeles for 123 years. This is fresh water here that comes up from a spring not too far away from here, and that's why they had built the Pueblo de Los Angeles right here. All right, as we roll on, we're kind of getting to the end. We're going to cross over here and cover one more building that's kind of an old building here. Dan the Man.
Yeah.
And we're going to come to the end here of the show as people are starting to put stuff away. I'm going to kind of walk through here. And, boy, it smells good. I think we need to come back and get some food. Okay, let's see what we can talk to here. If you have the opportunity to come on down here, and you can come down here through the week and not on the weekends, you actually get a chance to really take your time. On the weekends, it is so packed in here. It really is crowded. And it's always better to have a little breathing room in here. And some of these old houses and these old buildings here, in fact, this one here was a building that was built about 150 years ago. And what you can see here, which is really interesting, I'm going to show you something about architecture. You can see how the doorways are, and you see the brick up on top. That's how they used to support that. Now, all houses today are supported by what's called a header beam that goes across the top of the entranceway or the window, which supports the weight and pushes the weight out towards the sides and the studs that bring it down to the ground. But in these old houses, the way they were built with brick, these brick houses or these brick buildings, they built the brick up. It wasn't steel reinforced or anything like that. They built this brick up, and then they built that usually 2 to 3 to 4 cross bricks that go across the top in an arch. Because an arch, as you know from Roman times and Greek times, is the strongest, one of the strongest architectural designs. Arches are very strong because it takes the weight and takes the heaviness of gravity and pushes it off to the left and the right side. And that's what this does. It takes the weight of the building. We're talking a 2 to 3 story building here. Okay, and it takes the weight of the building of this entranceway and pushes it off to the side and centers it down to the ground. And that's why they build it that way. So an interesting look at how buildings were built differently than they are today. All right, cameraman. Okay, we're coming to the end of our adventure here on Olvera Street in Los Angeles. What we're going to try to do is take a walk up here, and we can't really go someplace where I wanted to take you, and that was the old Dan the Man. I wanted to go past the old Masonic Lodge, the first Masonic Lodge, but they've got the security there for that film crew that's out there today.
Oh, okay. Maybe we can.
I don't think we're going to get past that.
Never know. We might be able to slide on through.
Well, I didn't bring of all things, I don't have my press pass with me.
And break on through to the other side.
Break on through to the other side. What could that possibly be? The doors. So that's our adventure here on Olvera Street. Pretty cool, huh?
Very cool.
So we learned a few things together here as we traveled up the oldest street in Los Angeles. They had the oldest house, and they had people visiting from Chile.
That's right, and they eat chili rellenos.
And they also eat chili beans.
And Alejandra Gutierrez, actress, is from Chile.
That's right. And so is Mama T. Uh-oh, I got to say that. Yes, absolutely. There's a couple of great places to look at when you're down here at Olvera Street. You want to go over to Chinatown, which is that way, not too far. And we were going to start with Chinatown today, but we just didn't have the time to cover Chinatown. And then also, there's a couple of other places that you might want to visit to eat down here. The French dip place, and we were going to go there.
Yes, Felipe's.
And why is Felipe's so famous?
For the double dip sandwich.
And I remember the 10-cent cup of coffee?
Yes, on occasion.
It's only 25 cents now. They raised it.
Inflation strikes everywhere.
It sure does. But Felipe's French dip restaurant, which is just down the street here. Also, there's a new enterprise that just popped up here in Los Angeles, this part of Los Angeles, in Olvera Street, and that is the Homeboy Bakery.
Yes, it's a good cause. They help ex-gang members and people in danger to work jobs and better themselves.
Homeboy Bakery is just about a half a block away from here, and all the bread and all the bakery items are made by ex-gang members coming out of prison. It's a place for somebody to get a job, because, felons and stuff have a hard time getting a job. It's one of the hardest things that they can do.
Everyone deserves a second chance, and Father Boyle's done a good job there. Homeboy Cafeteria and Bakery.
And the food is pretty darn good. Then you also have Union Station there to visit, very historical Union Station. You have the first post office here in downtown Los Angeles. That was the main terminal annex because it was here because that's where the trains were. And the trains would take that postal and all the post office goods and items, your letters, for many years out to the rest of America.
Hi, this is Johnny Trash. I hear the train coming around the track.
And so there we go. Some things to visit Alvera Street. So we're going to kind of take a little walk down here, and as we end our excursion here in downtown Los Angeles, it has just been a beautiful day here in Southern California. One of the reasons why in Southern California so many people come here, and so many people come here that are homeless, is pretty amazing. They did a survey recently about the homeless, Dan the Man, and they said about 50% of the homeless here in California don't want to get off the street. That's what they found out now in the recent survey that was just published in the last couple of days. And 50% of the homeless that are here actually do get off the street between 1 month and 18 months. But the other 50% never leave the street. And the longer they're on the street, the less inclined they are to ever leave it.
And that's throwing out the mentally ill and the ones that had bad luck that want to be off the street.
Right. So we do have a big problem here. And one of the particular reasons why we have a big problem, because it's cold in Chicago today, but it's hot here in LA. Because we are red hot and rolling on the Pacific Coast here in paradise. You always hear me say, the only problem with paradise is there's too many people.
Hi, this is Johnny Carson. May the bird of paradise fly up your nose.
Oh, love it, baby. So that's what we're doing. We're headed back to the Green Dragon as we're walking on the outside of Alvera Street. And this was at one time all farms and vineyards. And in fact, right behind us where Chinatown is, what was there also as well in the early days of California was Italy. It was known as Little Italy. Yeah, and that Little Italy, because there were lots of Italians here. That's a pretty good picture of what Alvera Street used to look like in the 1920s. Kind of get an idea on how it's changed dramatically. So this was a picture of 1847. And this was a picture in the 1860s. And we're right here in this general area right now. See, as I said, there's a lot of open land and a lot of open territory here. And it was just a small little pueblo here in Los Angeles. It grew and grew and grew to where it is today. This was in 1871. You can see now you understand. Way over here is where the oceans were. This is the ocean view. And that's why, as I said, this is up on the hill earlier. You can see the actual Pacific Ocean over here. Because there were no trees. Remember we talked about having no vegetation. It's all planted by man. And you can see here in 1869, it's just an open territory. No houses on the mountains there at all. And then finally, 1883, 1888, it starts building up. Trees are planted. Water's being utilized. We walked past this building earlier. And this was the church where the consulate is now. This was the plaza that we talked about. And if you notice this tree right here, I'm going to give you a point of reference if we can here. Let me kind of sit over here. This tree, this is 1890 now. 1890 on Alvera Street. This is the plaza that we walked into here. And with the plaza we walked in here. That big tree is right in this area here. In fact, it's this tree right here. So we walked in like this. That's that tree right there, that big giant tree. And this was in the 1930s. So you can see how it really changed from the 1860s to the 1930s. As we go along a little farther on our journey here through the memory lane of Alvera Street and the early pictures of Alvera Street. Hollywood and dignitaries found Alvera Street very, very great place to come to. In the 1950s, you can see lots of dignitaries here, judges that named Alvera Street a historical land site. You can see President Roosevelt's wife, Eleanor Roosevelt, visited Alvera Street here. Just right here in the general area. Harry Chandler from Chandler Boulevard in the San Fernando Valley. Donald Sterling's father. A lot of people didn't realize that Donald Sterling, the one-time owner or the owner of the Clippers, his mother and father were here way back. Nothing happens overnight, guys. Nothing happens overnight. In the 1930s, we have Alvera Street here as well. And then just more scenes, more parties. This is Otis Chandler. Otis Chandler was the guy who started the LA Times, art and a lot of historical art he collected. Otis Chandler, very powerful man here in Los Angeles at the time. As we cross the way over here, we get to 1930, and this is Sterling's diary. This was part of the Sterling family. Now, you see the cross where we were here? This was in 1930. We were standing right here earlier, and as I said, you can see there's always been a lot of things being sold here, but not as perfectly manicured as it is today. The street opened last night, she says, in a blazing glory. Thousands of people came and everyone seemed happy. The surface of the old street felt again the touch of slippers and polished boots. Romance sings the love songs of yesterday. Vendors softly call, Mira, niña, aquí, buenos tamales muy calientes, dulces, señora. Alvera Street today is a little world of its own. The surface is covered with red tiles, and wild doves come to feed among footsteps that do not hurry. The olive and pepper trees are no longer strangers to the soil, but seem always to have been here. Mexican men and women sell attractive Mexican wares from under little canopies and whisper to the sunlight, Gracias a Dios. Ha vuelto a nosotros un palmento de nuestra tierra. So Alvera Street has always been something unique. And this is when they're cleaning up Alvera Street. You can see some of the buildings here still. And they're starting to lay out the middle of the street here and lay this road through here, this asphalt, when it was originally just dirt. And once again, we were right here. And Mexicans have always been looking for employment in California. All right. Well, that's going to be it for the Jesse T Show today. As we roll on down the road, Dan the man, let's head our way out back to the Green Dragon. This was fun going down memory lane. There's our guys. Yeah! All right. There's our guys. We like them. We're eating some good food. All right, guys. Hey, thanks a lot for joining us today at the Power of Voices as we catch the vibe.
Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition.
Band-Aids and bullets, baby. Catching the vibe in Los Angeles on Alvera Street. Thanks a lot for joining here on Facebook.com/Jesse Torrero. Also, YouTube, it's archived now, as well on Instagram, Periscope, Livestream, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, and so many others. We appreciate you watching. Pass it along every Wednesday at 5. We're catching the vibe. Dan the man and I catching the vibe as we leave you with one thought. And the thought is this, my friends. The serenity that we saw today must spread across the land.
And don't forget to spread love, baby.
The Band Beauty is off duty. See ya.